Hello, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. What I got for you first right here is from Business Insider. The UN has said nuclear war is back within the realms of possibility. Here are the places in the U.S. most likely to be hit in a nuclear attack. I was going to post this one up yesterday on my news channel, but I forgot. It says here, let's see, two links there. It says here, UN Secretary General, whoever that is, said that this year that a nuclear war is back within the realm of possibility. Russian President Putin also suggested in December that Russia may abandon its no first use military doctrine. A Russian nuclear attack would likely focus on high-value targets in North Dakota or Montana. The UN Secretary General said that the nuclear war is back within the realm of possibility following Russia's warning earlier this year. It was putting its nuclear forces on alert amid its war in Ukraine, which threatens to draw NATO into direct combat with Russia. Since then, nuclear threats have continued to raise concerns a nuclear weapon could be used in a conflict for the first time in decades. Much of the focus as of late has been on the risk of Russian President Vladimir Putin using a nuclear weapon in Ukraine in a desperate move to change his army's fortunes on the battlefield. But the Russian leader has also directed warnings at the U.S. and NATO. In December, Putin also suggested that Russia may abandon its no first use military doctrine, which says Russia would only use nuclear weapons as a last resort. The U.S., have it in their strategy in the documents. It is spelled out. A preventative blow, Putin said at a news conference. We on the other hand have formulated a retaliation strike in our strategy. So if we're talking about this disarming strike, then maybe think about adopting the best practices of our American partners and their ideals of assuring their security, he added. We're just thinking about it. While the risk of tension between the U.S. and Russia escalating to open conflict and nuclear war is low, the threat exists. In 2017, Russian state media detailed how Moscow would annihilate U.S. cities and areas after a nuclear treaty collapse and put the Cold War rivals back in targeting mode. A shocking threat, even after the Russian regime's extreme standards. Hyping up a then new hypersonic nuclear capability missile, Russia State TV said the Pentagon, Camp David, Jim Creek Naval Radio Station in Washington, Fort Ritchie in Maryland, and McLean Air Force Base in California would be targets. So what would be the targets here? The Russian TV said Camp David, Jim Creek Naval Radio Station in Washington, Fort Ritchie in Maryland, and McLean Air Force Base in California. You can read the rest of this in my description box. The link will be in it. I want to see if my mic's still on. Yeah, it's still on. And of course, I will repost this again about the U.S. simulation maps, in case anyone missed it. And let's see what else I got here now. This may be a longer newscast than before. I read that one. Okay, JDAMs. Ukraine's new killer U.S. weapon going to war against Russia. This from the site 1945, but this was posted an hour ago. JDAM satellite guided bombs headed to Ukraine. The White House will, for the first time, send Patriot air and missile defense system to Ukraine, along with joint direct attack emulations. That's JDAM, joint direct attack emulations, as part of a $1.8 billion military aid package that was revealed last week. Let's see. What are JDAMs? Joint Direct Attack Emulation Kits are designed to convert regular unguided aerial munitions into smart bombs. The aim is to ensure that Ukraine's missile strikes are as accurate and efficient as possible at a time when Russian forces are specifically working to cause as much damage as possible while forcing Ukraine to use up its supply of precision-guided rockets to destroy incoming Russian attacks. The JDAM kit was created as a solution for Air Force leaders during Operation Desert Storm in 1991. JDAM became a replacement for a more expensive system known as Parkway 2, which was used in limited quantity during the end of the Vietnam War. And you can read about the rest of this in my description box here. Yeah, let's see. Did I just read that one? 1945. No, this is another one from the same page, from the same company, 1945. This is posted 2 hours ago. Putin's nightmare gets worse. He might lose another big city in Ukraine. In Ukraine, is Ukraine about to recapture this city, whatever the name of that city is, as Russian forces still struggle and make gains in Ukraine, despite deploying hundreds of thousands of reservists. The Ukraine military could be on the verge of recapturing the eastern city of Crimea, I guess. The city, which is roughly 30 kilometers east of the city of Lyman and Donetsk, was occupied by Russian forces on April 18th. I gotta learn another language, I guess, to be reporting these. It said Russia knows the city is at risk. Haidal said on Tuesday that the Russian military continues to send more troops to the city ahead of the anticipated fight to claim the city. The Russian occupation troops managed to build a very powerful defense in a month, even a little more, Haidal said on Telegram. They are bringing a huge amount of reserves and equipment. They are constantly renewing their forces. Russian forces have put up a significant effort to defend their control of the region. For hundreds of miles around the city, troops have also begun to dig trenches and create traps designed to slow down future Ukrainian counter-offenses. Such measure in Kherson ultimately failed. However, when Ukrainian forces recaptured the city and have already gone about removing the landmines, they were purposely left in residential buildings and streets. Why the city matters. Russia has good reason to want to maintain control of the city too. Not only is Russia at risk of another embarrassing situation like withdrawal from Kherson, but losing Crimea would also have a substantial impact. of their overall defenses. Anyway, you can read about this more in my description box. The link will be there. This one here is from Radar Online. This yesterday at 4 p.m. Vladimir Putin wakes up to daily 7 a.m. War briefing. Russian leader orders troops to fight to the death in Ukraine. Russian leader Putin is determined to defeat Ukraine as the war rages on, alleging overruling his generals and ordering troops to fight to their death. Officials said Putin receives a written daily briefing at 7 a.m. as his military operation reaches its 10-month mark. RadarOnline.com has learned that officials believe he is deluded about the true nature of the war and not being told what he needs to hear. Insiders allege the information is filtered to appease Putin and obscure the challenges that are facing after it was revealed at least 100,000 Russian soldiers have been killed or wounded thus far. Anyway, you can read about the rest of this in my description box. I'm trying to make this as quick as I can. This is from Z Live News. This is 10 hours ago. Russia strikes back. Massive missile fire. New heavy Russian attacks were reported in the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson. The Ukrainian general staff said that 33 Russian missiles were fired at civilian targets within 24 hours. In addition, populated areas on the high bank of the Dnipro River near the regional capital, which was recaptured by the Ukrainian army last month, were shelled with mortars and artillery. Now, this is not fighting fair. He's attacking civilian areas. You don't do that in a war. You're fighting the military. This is being a chicken. This is being a wuss. And I don't mind saying that. Putin is a wuss. That's why he's not fighting himself. He's sending his people in and telling them fight to the death. Oh boy. Anyway, I never heard much about the ozone for years. This is from Star Insider. It said, what happened to the hole in the ozone? What happened to the hole in the ozone? Around the turn of the 21st century, much of the environmental conversation was about the hole in the ozone layer. There was an understandable panic after it was discovered in the 1980s that certain man-made chemicals were causing depletion of the Earth's protected layer. In 2022, however, the conversation is much more about the climate change. We hardly hear anything about the ozone layer, which leaves us wondering whatever happened to the hole in the ozone layer. The stratosphere, high above the Earth's surface, between 6 and 30 miles, that's 9.6 to 48.2 kilometers above to be exact, lies a layer of the atmosphere known as the stratosphere. The ozone layer, the stratosphere, is home to much of the Earth's ozone, a colorless, a pale blue gas that plays an important role in making our planet habitable. Natural SPF. The ozone layer acts as a protective shield against the sun's ultraviolet rays. Without it, there would be no life on Earth at all. Panic. There was unsurprisingly great alarm in the 1980s when the British Antarctic Survey published research that confirmed there was a hole in the ozone layer. CFCs. The survey suggested a link between damage to the Earth's ozone layer and the use of CFCs anyway, I can see that better, which was found in aerosols and cooling devices. That's why they changed the stuff in the air conditioner and stuff. Earlier discovery. In fact, scientists Mario Molina and F. Rowland had already suggested in 1974 that CFC could destroy the ozone layer. Unfortunately, their work was rejected. CFC everywhere. The use of CFC is a product ranging from refrigerators to industrial cleaning agents. And by the mid 1980s, the situation was perilous. Anyway, action. Thankfully, at that point, governments rallied and took unprecedented steps to repair the hole in the stratosphere that acts as the Earth's natural SPF. The stratos cool. It is for the reason that in 2022 we no longer hear about the hole in the ozone layer and the potentially devastating effects it could have. Relief. According to Laura Revell, an associate professor at the University of Canterbury, New Zealand, it's not the same because the alarm that it once was. The Montreal Protocol in 1987, a global agreement called the Montreal Protocol, was adopted with the aim of protecting the ozone layer. The plan was to phase out the substance that depleted it. Okay, this is 12 or 31 pages, and you can read the rest of this in my description box. The link will be down below. Okay, what we got here from the LA Times. Opt-ed, I bought a Tesla to help the environment. Now I'm embarrassed to drive it. A few years ago, I bought a used Tesla. Not me. Yeah. Not because I'm a car nut, but because I have been a hypocrite for years. I have been outspoken about the dangers of carbon emissions, yet at the same time, I was driving an old gas power heap that got about 25 miles per gallon, and that sounded like a rocket launch every time I turn on the ignition. 25 miles per gallon is pretty good for a group. The car was impractical, but it had sentimental value. My environmental activist friends were not impressed by my dubious urban composing LED insulation and energy-saving appliances. I needed to do more to diminish my carbon footprint. The icebergs were melting. My friend said, and at least one polar bear was wandering around homeless and hungry because of me. Many insisted that Tesla were the best for the environment. Pricey but worth it. So I said goodbye to my gas guzzler and made the leap. Someone once said that Tesla are smartphones on wheels. So for an adult like me who suffers from technical issues, sitting in the driver's seat for the first time was like trying to master calculus after failing algebra. Where are the ignitions? How do you make this thing move? What's a fob? It took a few weeks to figure out the essentials, but I started to feel some real affection for the car's sleek design and bells. Anyway, you can read about the rest of this later. I'm just bringing this stuff to your attention. Here's from Axel Addict. Tesla owner rants about all the problems his car has cost him. The owner of a Tesla has said that he wouldn't buy another one after all the problems he's had with his. He said the car had been great at first, but then started to have problems, which meant he couldn't use it for long periods and even had to take it off the road. In addition to these issues, he also said that when he took his vehicle in for servicing, it will only be fixed for a short period before something else went wrong again. The man explained how much he has spent on repairs since buying the car. So does it really save you money? He's saving on gas, but not on repairs, I guess. Said here, the owner says that the car had many mechanical problems since buying it, including the air conditioner not working very well and the windshield wipers needed to be replaced every few months. Babe, try trading your car in because you're going to keep spending money on the car you get fixed. Somebody said. Another texter said, Betsy, you've talked me out of ever owning a Tesla. Another texter said, call Tesla customer service and tell them you would appreciate it if they would fix it in good faith. They know what that means. They can fix it beyond warranty. Anyway, you can read about the rest of this. Well, actually, it's almost over anyway. You can read about the rest of it. I got tired of reading it. Okay, now what I want to bring to your attention here. Now, if you ever go to the St. Louis area and visit this arch, they are requiring you to wear a mask again. It says here, Gateway Arch to require masks again starting Tuesday. Let's see. They got a little map here for something. COVID-19 community spread. It says here from KMOV, St. Louis, Missouri, the Gateway Arch National Park will be requiring masks starting December 27th, according with new guidance of the National Park Service. All staff and visitors will be required to wear a well-fitting, high-quality mask, such as a surgical mask, regardless of vaccination status. Cloth masks will not be considered to be high quality and are not allowed. Surgical masks will be available to visitor in the information desk free of charge. Now, I had a home nurse come here before. He's actually a doctor, and he told me, I had told him if I had need to wear a mask. He said, no, the mask don't do no good. He didn't wear a mask, I didn't wear a mask. And anyway, I'm bringing this to you because China here is letting their people out traveling all over the world, spreading their disease that killed my daughter. Let me play a little bit of this for you. This is from China in Focus. Let me turn my volume up.
Chinese people soon allowed to travel overseas again, despite COVID-19 infections sweeping across the nation. Global fears over whether China's COVID-19 outbreak will spawn new variants. But how likely is it? An expert breaks it down.
It's a big incubation hub in China.
Unusually high death rates for alumni of two top Chinese universities, one of them known as the birthplace of the Chinese Communist Party. A die-hard China optimist seemingly changing his stance. We look at why. Taiwan extending its compulsory military service for male citizens. And Japan preparing for possible war. The nation planning to deploy a missile defense unit on an island near Taiwan. 2023, Chinese residents will be able to travel outside China. Flight tickets out of the country have seen a massive spike since the news broke, with bookings jumping more than threefold from the day before. That's according to data from travel company Trip.com Group. One Beijing resident gave his reaction.
I was quite excited when I heard the news. It was unexpected. I was looking forward to it.
The illness's burden falls on 1.4 billion vulnerable Chinese people because of immunity gaps, a result of prolonged lockdowns.
Now you give this huge population, very immune dampened population to the virus, so the virus have better chance to generate mutants. they have higher pathogenicity.
Beyond that, in China, another subvariant of COVID-19 may already be spreading alongside the Omicron variant. Cases of lung infection and severe pneumonia have been reported among COVID-19 patients in China. The Omicron variant usually doesn't cause these symptoms. It's known for only weakly attacking the lungs.
I cannot doubt it's all because of the Omicron. We didn't see any sequence, so that's...
So, like Trump said before, this is biological warfare, and I believe that, And now it's backfiring on China for doing this stupid shit. Crap, I'm sorry. Anyway, it pisses me off. It kills my daughter, and the hospital killed my daughter, and I'll have another video about that sometime. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment. And until tomorrow, hope you keep watching. Later.